Welcome to the Adam Talks To podcast. I'm your host, Adam, and each and every week I'm going to be joined by a celebrity guest who's coming on to talk about, well, whatever they want to talk about, as long as it's interesting. Make sure you hit subscribe below so that you never miss a show. And if you want to follow us on social media, the addresses are on the screen now. But please do make sure to follow so that you never miss out on the upcoming guests and the opportunity to ask them questions. All that leaves me to do is to hand over to our guests. Over to you. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Adam Talks To. And who am I talking to tonight?
I am Aaron from the Slow Readers Club.
Aaron, welcome to the show. I'm sure that you'll have a lot of your own fans dialing in tonight. For those who haven't heard from you, though, can you tell us a little bit about the band?
Yeah, we are a Manchester-based four-piece indie electro sort of melancholy but euphoric band, I would say. Been going for quite some time now. We're on our seventh studio album. Been fairly DIY for most of our career. Brief period, apart from a brief period where we were on a label, but yeah, we have a very loyal following, and yeah, it's been a fun adventure so far. Lots of cool stuff.
So, when you are listening to a streaming service, whether it's Amazon Music, Spotify, whatever, when you finish your albums or anyone's album, it always then gives you recommended playlists. So if you were Spotify and you're in charge of who do you sound like, and it might be some clues behind you there because I can see the album covers, who would you say your historical contemporaries are? Who would you like to be compared to? And I'll give you some suggestions afterwards that you can shoot down and tell me I sound nothing like them.
It's all right. Yeah. We often get compared to editors, Interpol, Joy Division, that kind of thing. A bit of Depeche Mode. Yeah, I think if I was to sort of hope for who would be suggested after, I'd include the Killers, and all of those are great, but I'd include the Killers, Sam Fender, Arcade Fire, yeah, that kind of stuff. The Cure, James, who we've supported in the past, but yeah, that's what put us in the ballpark of.
Well, before I came to your gig at Christmas time, just gone there, my friend said, "Come, we've got to go see this band. We've seen them before. They're fantastic." And I decided to listen to some of your stuff beforehand. And my first instinct was, it's Human League mixed with the Smiths. Which, when I suggested that to my friends, they went, "No, you're crazy." But and a little bit of OMD sprinkled in there as well, maybe.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take those. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. So, by the way, fantastic gigs, sold out in Glasgow. And obviously this year, I've looked at the tour dates. There's only two things in the diary at the moment, but the big news, obviously, is you're supporting The Cure in Manchester. That must have been fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we're supporting Wooden Park. Both my brother's in the band on guitar. Curtis, we're both from Wooden from Newhall Green in Wooden. So when they started putting shows on there, I was like, so wanted to play there and to be playing there, supporting The Cure, who are massive influence, big heroes. Total respect for their sort of output over the years. So it's going to be absolutely amazing. I would love to have gone to the show anyway. So getting it for free will be
always very nice.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
So can I ask, because obviously I romanticize all these events in my head. Did Robert Smith pick up the phone to you and ask you personally, or was it all done very boringly through agents?
It was through agents, yeah, very boring. But I mean, I'm a mate. Apparently he does have a hand in choosing supports. I mean, that isn't always the case with bands, I don't think. But yeah, apparently he of the people that were suggested to him, he thought we were good enough to support them, which which is a great honor to sort of feel like we're doing something that he appreciates, which is really good, really good. So. Yeah, I've not spoken to him yet, unfortunately, but hope to when we do the show. Who knows?
Absolutely. Well, very much looking forward to hearing more about that after it happens. So, you're playing Manchester. You're playing, I think, a tour. Oh, sorry, a few nights in, is it Amsterdam or Holland somewhere? Or?
It's a festival, yeah. I can't remember the name of it now. But no, I mean, the main focus of this year is writing the next record. There's a few other shows to announce, but they aren't headline shows. So
Mhm.
there's another band. There's another band that we're supporting later this year. At the moment, I don't think we'll be doing much headline this year. I don't think. We're just yeah, we're writing the next record, and then when we go out again, it'll be a proper tour around that record, basically.
Oh, good. Well,
Probably early next year.
so you talk about writing the next album. So we'll come on to that in a minute, what to expect from that and how far you are with it. But obviously, you've been going for 20 plus years in one form or another. You're supporting massive bands. You've had tours of your own. As I said, the one in Glasgow was sold out when we came to see you. So what does that look like for a pop rock star of today? Does that mean that between albums, between gigs, you can sit with your feet up, enjoying your Cristal?
No, I mean we all work in one form or another alongside it. We did go full time in 2018 after our third studio album, Build the Tower, and we were signed to Modern Sky at that point, and we'd just got into a position where we felt we could take it to full time, and it was sort of viable, and we were full time in throughout 2019, and then obviously COVID hit, so we had a bit of a Patreon thing during that period and stuff. But yeah, eventually we just had to go back into work, and being of advancing years, I suppose we were sort of it did the sensible thing, and I think it's common to most bands. I would imagine there's lots of other bands I know that, which including some that we supported, that don't do music, uh, and that's it kind of thing for it to be financially viable. I think it might have been different if we'd have been around in the days where there was more from sort of record sales, and it wasn't so much streaming based and that kind of thing. But yeah, it does enough to pay for itself and for us to improve production and keep building things we want to do with a live show, um, and keep everybody motivated and feel like there's people that care about doing what we're doing. But yeah, we do work alongside. I'm a designer by day.
Great. Okay. Well, so you talked about there, the days of hit records, obviously, looking through, doing research for this tonight. I know there's not really been singles and those kind of things, going down the Led Zeppelin route, is it, of not having singles as such, but there's a nice comparison for the website for you. But when you think back to the hits of the 80s, people, having number ones and then that's it, never have to work again. I take it these days, most of the stuff comes from downloads and touring and merch on the tours. Is that how?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Yeah, t-shirts and record. I mean, we had a top 10 album with Joy the Return. The last album was number 11 in the UK album charts as well. So they've sold pretty well. Singles charts is a different beast altogether these days because I think I don't know. I don't, for an indie act anyway, even back in the day, like the Smiths or whatever, I don't know if they had number ones or whatever. So I don't think it's for our genre anyway. Um, the sort of number one singles was never on my mind as a possibility. But I mean, who knows? We might write something with the next record that sort of tops the charts. But yeah, I mean the albums and the songs are appreciated and loved by the fans, and we're still winning people over. Like I think it's a lot these days about sort of Spotify exposure and things like that, and people discovering us on there, as you mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
And those numbers have doubled, I think, from in the last 12 months. So the things are positive on that side, and new people are discovering us all the time. So yeah,
So,
we'll
so
keep, we'll
people
keep.
listening to this today, they finish today and they say, well, actually, do you know what? I really enjoyed that interview. Maybe not the Adam bit, but certainly the Aaron bit I've enjoyed. What video should they go and dig out on YouTube? What would be the one that's going to get them hooked in?
Lunatic is a big track, and it's a good video for us. So yeah, I'd probably say that one of our. It's a good entry point and a good sort of reflection of our kind of sound, really.
Yeah. So just from my point of view, listening to it again, and you're saying that the singles is a different beast these days, but I would have thought your music would lend itself very much to movie soundtracks and TV shows like that. Is that something that you've ever been approached by or something that you thought you might?
We've had the odd thing. I think I Saw a Ghost was on a movie called Stranger Ways Here We Come. I think that was what it was called. Yeah, and we've had bits and bobs of like t TV and things like that, and been used on sports coverage and things like that, but nothing huge. I mean, getting on the Stranger Things soundtrack or whatever, or something would be a dream. We'd actually slot in there quite well, but obviously it's come to a close. But yeah, it'd be fantastic, and those kind of things are great for exposure as well, aren't they? As well, and as much as anything else, be like cool to write for a film or something one day, maybe. That'd be quite a cool thing to do. It's not something we've that's been an opportunity as of yet.
Well, fingers crossed on that because, as I said, your sound is I was going to say very unique, although we listed off a few sound alikes, but it is in today's, I think, music industry very unique. So the new album, tell us a bit more about that. How far into it is it different from what we've heard before? Is there new influences?
It's super early days actually in the writing process. We've been doing bits and bobs at home and sharing early ideas. There's two or three tracks that are sort of fairly fully formed musically and melodically, although I haven't got the lyrics yet. But yeah, I can't really share anything about that yet. And there's nothing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure even what we've done so far will be the backbone of the record. So I don't know. It's
And how does that process
very early
work?
days.
Is it a collaborative one, or do you go along with a melody in your head, lyrics that one plays
It
music to?
varies. I mean, if it's because I play keyboards, so if I'm or keyboards or piano, I've got piano and the little upright thing in the kitchen downstairs. So if I've got inspiration strikes or whatever, then I'll write something and I'll sing a melody over it, and then send that round to the guys on WhatsApp or whatever, and then sometimes Kurt will put some guitar on top of that, or sometimes it'll work the other way around where Kurt's got a guitar part. Like when we did the album 91 Days, which was one we wrote in lockdown, that's when that sort of that process of writing sort of was born really. Prior to that, we'd have usually sort of jammed it out in the practice room and written together. Um, but this one became a bit more like Kurt would write a bit some guitar, I'd compose and I'd sing a melody over it, and add the lyrics. But yeah, it's most of the time it's collaborative, but sometimes it can be if it's key if it's synth based, it tends to be more from me. If it's guitar based, it tends to be more from Kurt as the sort of originators, I think. But and then there's other exceptions where like something like Forever and You Dead, probably I think starts with a bass line, probably started around Jim's bass line. So yeah, it's different from song to song.
So that's good to hear. So that you're responsible for most of it, and Jim chipped in one song, is what you're saying in your career. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I
If
get
he's,
it.
if he's listening, that's exactly right.
Right. So going back and looking back over the career, as we said, was it 2003 you first started kind of playing in one form together?
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah. We had a different drummer back then, but yeah, that was I think 2003 or 2000. I've got 2008 in my head for some reason.
I think
But
that's when.
sorry, oh yeah, sorry, 2003 was probably Omerta.
That's right. That's what I was
Yeah,
going to say.
sorry, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so me and Jim, the bass player, we're in a band called well, it's his band originally, him and two school friends, and I joined it. Um, um, so we had a few singles and bits of radio play and stuff like that, but then that came to a close, and then the Slow Rich Club was born, and me and Jim carried on, and I brought my brother in on guitar, and then we had a different drummer for a bit called Doug, and then Neil came back from Omerta for a while, and then eventually for the second record we had David, who Kurt had been in a band with before, and he's been with us ever since the second record on drums.
So looking back at those days and thinking about the listeners who might say, well, actually, do you know what? I really like, I want to get into the music industry. From those early days, very different to when, people were breaking in the 70s and 80s, etc. And there was more airplay, easier to get on the radio, those kind of things. Any advice that you would give or the things that you struggled with or what can you tell us about those times?
I mean, it's a little bit. I think obviously today you've got social media and stuff like that, and if people can blow up on TikTok or whatever, it's easier and there's more onus on the band making a name for themselves than a label coming along and build and doing all the promo. I think you have to get to a level and be making a bit of a buzz for yourself before they'll before the label or whoever will come calling. But I think if I was to give anybody advice, it would be um, write as much as possible, perform live as much as possible, and but then when you sort of releasing, have some strategy behind that, and think if you put a single out in the world, have some follow-ups ready, or hold back your record until you've got a deal sorted, or a plan at least around that release, and know what you're doing with vinyl and distribution and all those kind of things. And all of those things are possible from a DIY perspective. There's online digital distribution that you can sign up for yourself, and you can speak to physical distributors and stuff like that. There's a lot that you can do DIY, but ideally you have a team around you. You have management, and you have an agent to help you with the live side, and there's a bit more of a plan. I think we were just selling, certainly the first two records, selling them out of the back of a van pretty much, and didn't really have a plan for release and distribution and things. But as we went through our career, we sort of learned as we went, really, and as the audience built up organically, um, we were able to sort of get music out properly eventually. Like we know what we're doing these days by album 7.
So did I hear earlier on that you're with a record label, but you do it all yourself now? Is that right? Or-
Yeah, the last record was with Scruff and Neck Management. They put the record out with us. Essentially, it's a self-release. It wasn't on their label as such, but they helped us with the campaign and getting it out there. Before that, we were Modern Sky for a couple of records. So yeah, I think yeah, we can't do everything yourself, and it's just not enough hours in the day, and it's good to get some good people around you helping with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, um, I watched a documentary recently on the KLF. I don't know if you remember them. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Similar ages, and they did everything themselves, and that was ultimately their downfall because they had no one to rein them in. So thinking
They're the
with
guys that burnt £1 million. Is that
that's
somebody
the
else?
ones, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, allegedly,
yeah, yeah.
and if Bill Drummond wants to come and tell me personally that he didn't do it, I'll be more than happy to have him on if anyone knows where he is. But no, yes. So they kept on pulling wilder and wilder stunts because they didn't have a management in place. And I've talked to a few other interviews ahead of the launch of this show, and they've all bad mouth, well, not all bad mouth their management, but they said that if there's one thing they could go back and change was maybe having less enthusiasm to just get signed at the beginning and maybe take a closer look at what they were getting involved in. Is there anything around that that you would agree with? Or
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously those relationships are really important. We've had a few different managements over the years, but and there's been positives about all of the situations. I've not got really any tales of woe to say on that side. I'm most of the arrangements for us have ended amicably and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a lot about your sort of chemistry with one another, and then most bands are very ambitious for themselves and want to be supporting everybody and touring the world and all that kind of stuff, and sometimes expect management to put all that in place for them, I suppose. But yeah, it's a difficult one.
yeah.
I'm trying to be
Well, we're not trying to get
polite
you into
with that
any
answer.
into
Yeah.
legal hot waters here, don't you worry. So, new album, beginning of the writing. What is the longer term future? Is this something that you plan to do as for as long as you can do, or is there a
Yeah, I think
drop the mic on the
as long as
stage in Manchester
as,
in a blaze
as
of
long as
glory?
we've got the ideas and and something to say from my point of view, like if I can think of lyrics that I feel are worth singing, then we'll keep doing it, I suppose. And as long as there's an audience still there that wants to hear us, and it seems to be that there is, and hopefully when we do the Cure shows and stuff, there'll be more people again. So yeah, yeah, we're very very grateful for the fans that do come and see us. We have an amazing following. Some fans like come to every show on the tour and stuff like that. It's pretty incredible, really. It's quite a it. I say fans as well, and I don't mean it like it feels like a bit of an old-fashioned word. It does really feel like a community. Do you know what I mean? And we know them on socials and things like that. Um, so yeah, it's about I don't know. It's a good crowd that we have around us.
So, just thinking about the people who are listening to this to you for the first time today, how do they find out more about you and social media, directly on the website, coming along to the gig? What,
Yeah,
what do you
yeah, yeah.
suggest?
I mean, yeah, we've got a dead active. There's a fan page on Facebook that's active. You meet, if you are into us, you'll meet lots of like-minded people on there. There's our main Facebook and Instagram and all the usual places you expect to find people on socials. And yeah, the slowreadersclub.co.uk is our website.
Great. Well, before I say goodbye, I'll just give you an opportunity to give us any last plugs, tell us where the best venue is. Of course, it's Glasgow. Tell us what, anything else you want to share with the audience before we leave.
No, yeah, I'm obviously going to say Manchester is, yeah, our best gig so far was probably our last one, which was at Manchester Academy. I mean, we played the Apollo as well, which is like the biggest venue we played back in 2018. But the Academy show was really great. We did a lot with sort of video and stuff like this time, which we hadn't done before. It was probably my favorite show so far. So thank you to everybody that was there, and. See you at the next show in
I've actually
probably
got one final
27.
question. It just came to me then when you're saying about Manchester being the best
Yeah.
one, and I joked about Glasgow. When I was on the website earlier on, it still has a list of some of the previous shows, and it said that Glasgow was the only sold out one ahead of time. And I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
why do you think that uh, Glasgow is such a big fan base up here? Is there any reason for it in particular? Or?
Um, I don't know. We've done well there over the years. I don't know. We'd supported Shed Seven as well at Barrowlands the end of the year before. That might have had something to do with it. I don't know, but I'm grateful. It's good to have somewhere out of town where we're popular as well.
Well, Aaron, once again, thanks for joining us tonight. Make sure for the listeners that you check out the Slow Readers Club.co.uk if you want to find
That's
out a bit
right.
more. Check them out on all social media. And if you get a chance to go along and see The Cure in Manchester this year, don't go to the beer tent beforehand and ignore the warm-up act. Having seen you yourself, it's very much worthwhile. So, Aaron, thanks for your time tonight. Really, really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. Cheers. Great speaking to you.
Well, that's today's show. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Keep in touch, make sure you follow us on social media on the following addresses and hit the subscribe button below. Without your views, this show just can't be made. Please do make sure you hit that button. If you want to be on a future show, the email address is on the screen. But for the time being, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next week.